Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Maryanne Taylor, a sleep expert, educator, and the founder of The Sleep Works, a consultancy dedicated to helping individuals and organisations improve sleep, well-being, and performance. With a background in psychology and decades of experience in sleep education, Maryanne works at the intersection of science, behaviour, and real life, helping people understand how sleep truly works and how small, practical changes can create lasting impacts on health, focus, and productivity. Maryanne, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Great to have you here and such a pleasure. So let's do this, let's dive in. So with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning of their journey. So if you don't mind taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up The Sleep Works, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Okay, before that's going back a while without letting on my age too much. So I actually was not in this field at all. I worked in marketing. So that was my area pre my own business. And it was only a little later on in my working life that I got really interested in and I was keen to set up my own business and work
Okay,
in this space.
love that.
So I started the business back it's about 15 years ago now, and I originally started as a child sleep consultant. I was helping families, exhausted families, with their children's sleep problems. And I was actually living it myself with my own non-sleeping babies. So I was going through the motions. I had trained to become certified as a sleep consultant at around the same time as having my young children as well and their own sleep problems. So it was really interesting to be working in that space, but also at the same time dealing with some ups and downs with my own children's sleep. But my passion for sleep actually started earlier than that. In my 20s, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue. And that really shaped so much about what I understood about sleep, about energy, recovery, long before it actually became my work. Years later, I then went through cancer treatment and then early menopause. And that, for me, brought a lot of anxiety around sleep. I had a very different relationship with my body. It was going through an awful lot. And I just really understood, starting from back in the day when I had the chronic fatigue, what it felt like to really dread sleep, dread the night and dread sleep. And then later on, my children became teenagers and the challenges that brought, and the sleep challenges showed up again in different ways with the busy mind, the late nights, the emotional overload. So sleep has always been something that's very present in my life, not just to function, excuse me, but also to cope, just to cope. So it was more than just academic for me and just a business to start. I really understood it firsthand and how disruptive and how impactful it can be on our daily life.
Yeah, so really having your own struggles and your own journey with sleep itself and really putting that knowledge and experience into good use now by helping other people. And as you've alluded or mentioned throughout that, like sleep is forever an issue. It's forever changing no matter what the cause of it is, whether it is, as you say, unlucky in your situation with chronic fatigue, but also moving through and having children, you're gonna not have sleep. Becoming stressful, having too much work in your corporate life. Again, all of that kind of affects your sleep, and we don't really take care of sleep in the same way that we would do health and fitness or nutrition. It's often part of that kind of category that's overlooked. So let's dive into that a little bit more then. So walk me through at the moment, like who would you say now that we're a little bit further in, who would you say is your ideal customer? Like who do you love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you support them and how would you support them and how do you work with them along that journey?
So my ideal now, I don't really work one-to-one with children anymore. My focus is now on teenagers and adults. And
Mm,
I'm actually shifting that focus even more into sort of overstimulated, wired brain, ADHD type type person, whether it's somebody who has a diagnosis of ADHD or even self-diagnosed ADHD. And that's something that I also relate to personally as well. So that's the area that I have shifted in. And often a lot of people don't necessarily assume they have a sleep problem. So while I'm not trying to load a problem onto somebody, they don't, they might struggle during the day with fatigue, with energy, focus, motivation, all these things that might challenge them in their day, but they don't realize that actually there's a very strong foundation here of sleep. So it's not necessarily just the person who says, I have a sleep problem. And obviously, I work with those. They're my bread and butter, those people. But it's also the people that don't necessarily assume that they have a sleep problem.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose that must be the hardest part of it as well. If you don't realize you have the problem to start with, is that kind of one of the issues to help people kind of discover or overcome about themselves and get into that root cause of what might be wrong?
Absolutely. And this is what is my passion and why I really felt strongly about working in this area is that we tend to sort of we have layers that we load on to try and solve a problem. So there's so much out there available. There is certainly for sleep, it's whether it's supplements or it's tech or it's lavender spray or sleepy teas. There's just so much out there, not to mention information out there. Just a search on Google or ChatGPT, and you'll just get absolutely overwhelmed. But what's really important, as you said, is about the root and getting to what started the struggles, what are maintaining the sleep problems. So often, something that might have triggered any ups and downs with sleep isn't necessarily the thing that's maintaining that sleep problem. It might become so much of a habit now or developed anxiety around sleep that the original cause is no longer an issue, but the sleep is still is a problem. That is, that is part of it as well, is understanding what's going on and really personalizing. So it's
Mm.
not a one size fits all, and you can't just funnel into a generic kind of program and assume that's going to fix all problems because it isn't like that. Sleep is very personal,
Yeah.
and it depends on so many different factors. There's so many different elements at play, and it really is so important to look at individual situations, the lifestyle, the kind of hours, and their ability to be able to have some downtime or whatever, all those things. There's so many different things. So it's really important that it's personalized and you get into the bottom line to be
Yeah.
able to work from there.
Yeah, I love that. So a very, as you say, measured and tailored approach to each individual person. Because as you say, it's such a personal journey, sleep, and everyone has their own lives that are going to affecting their behaviors and their habits when it comes to sleep. So obviously, having a little bit of a background in marketing yourself, I'm also curious to find out how you go about marketing yourself now. So like in terms of methods or platforms, what are you finding most effective and really finding that right person to work with?
So it's a good question, and I'm actually in the process of, as I said, a slight sort of shift in my focus in that I am more focused in the
Yeah.
ADHD space now as well. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram to a lesser extent. It's my youngest daughter who's actually helping me with my Instagram, believe it or not. A lot of it is through word of mouth, but also I give quite a lot of sessions. I run a lot of sessions in organizations, in
Mhm.
corporates, and often it's people that have attended the session or have listened to the recording that will then
Amazing.
contact me afterwards. I also work in a few charities. I work in a breast cancer charity, and often people come to me individually through that as well. So it's a mishmash. And as I said, it's also word of mouth of people that I've worked with previously, pass my details on, or sometimes another member of the family, or sometimes it's even people who I helped with their children's sleep. And now, come teenager, there might be a different issue or somebody in the family as well. So it's a collection of different avenues, I would say.
Nice, yeah, a collection of interviews is a good way to put it, and keeping yourself like top of mind in the right areas as well. So workshopping with organizations, as you say, working with charities, and just being surrounded in the right ecosystem. And then when it comes to online, are you running any form of like campaigns or like putting any form of advertisements out there, or is it just purely organic outreach from, I would say you, but maybe your daughter more so pushing it out?
So At the moment, it is organic. I don't do ads at the moment. I stick to the organic, and it's working. It's working okay. I've been doing this a very long time. So my name is connected to sleep. As I said, it was originally with connected to children's sleep, but now more and more it is connected now to adult sleep as well. No, I don't run big campaigns. I do quite a lot of media stuff. So
Okay.
I contribute to articles, newspapers. I've done some TV stuff as well. So it's through that channel as well.
Yeah, so media's again just being media top of mind and just sticking to what kind of works well for you. And then how do you go about maybe the only thing I mentioned with the obviously the ad campaigns, it just brings in a level of consistency. Is that something that you have to adapt to or move through with the process that you're going at the moment, if that makes sense? It's a really bad way to frame that question. Let me start again.
Explain.
Yeah, so that was a very tangent question. And I'd say the only thing with running ad campaigns, it helps with the consistency in lead flow. So in terms of gaining that for yourself, what avenue do you find most consistent in bringing in lead flow for yourself?
I would say through my website.
Website.
I try to have some sort of new offer to whatever extent
Nice.
that is. Every, no, every quarter or so. It doesn't always happen. But as my business shifts, as I get older, as I'm talking to different people, something else comes to mind. Now, what my struggle is to stay on my track, stay on my path and not get, because I have loads of different ideas. Oh, I'd love to do that and I'd love to go into that area. And I think this
Yeah.
kind of group of people would benefit. So really, I suppose the struggle is to stay on my path and to not get distracted by what I would say shiny objects. But I think, just to keeping it fresh, keeping new stuff coming out all the time, really staying aware of what's current at the moment, what people are struggling with at the moment. And that obviously the ADHD world now is very big, and people are more and more finding that they're struggling with those kind of challenges. So really trying to address that as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful niche I actually myself struggle with sleep and ADHD, so I do know the kind
Right.
of area and the type of people you're looking to speak to, and it is a big issue and a big problem that really needs help and really needs
Yeah.
highlighted within that community. So I really appreciate that pivot. And then also, are you a solopreneur still at the moment, or do you have a
I
team?
am.
How do you
No,
cope
I
with
am.
the
It's
hats?
me. I work with, I have various collaborators, and I have somebody that works on my website, and I have various different people that I delegate out to, but ultimately I'm a solopreneur.
And how are you finding those many hats and those many fires that you might have to juggle with or juggle between a lot of the time as well?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's hard when you are central to the
Yeah.
delivery of your work. It's very time intensive, and also you need to be all things for all people. So, while I love marketing, and that was what I originally came from, still to be doing the marketing, the finance, the all of that stuff, and the actual work, it can be tricky. And on the one hand, it's a balance. No, I often think about my growth and scaling, and I would like to, and I think that is on my plan. But on the other hand, I don't want to necessarily dilute the work that I'm doing now, because I think no, it is a fine line between that scalability, but losing an element of the actual bread and butter of what you're doing. And that's the reason I started doing what I'm doing, which is ultimately to really try and help people on a personal level and offer that support.
Yeah, and that's always kind of the question, I suppose, when it comes to scaling is how can we scale and not dilute the product? How do we keep that level of service and of coaching out there, and then also not burn ourselves out, have to cope with all the other stuff, and
Exactly.
then work on the fulfillment side of it as well. And then with that being said, like what do the next 6 to 12 months have in store for you? Are you planning on taking the coaching business at the next level? What are you working on at the moment that you're happy to share with us?
So I am actually working almost finished, I would say, on it's a digital offer. So it's a 3 week program specifically for ADHD type personalities, and it might work for you. And it
And
is
what test
very
subject?
it's only 3 weeks. It's a recording, short recording of from me, focusing on one specific area. So for instance, week one will be about the spiral at bedtime, which is often a struggle where people get into this kind of spiral and find it hard to pull out of that to get to bed. So that's not necessarily what they might classify as a sleep problem, but it's a sleep problem if you're stuck in a spiral and you can't get to bed till 2 a.m. So that's the focus of week one. And then the second week is a different focus. So each week is very much just focused on a specific area. It is a recording, short recording, it's an action guide, it's an audio soundbite, and that's the digital program. And then the add-on to that will be support from me. So it will be, I would have check-ins once a week through the program. So things like that. That's what I'm working on now. Moving forward, I will be doing more work, corporate work in organizations. That's definitely on my radar to do more of. As I said, I've been doing that for a while now, but I think there's such a huge need there to really try and address more than just going in to do 1 hour session, to actually dig a little deeper within organizations, because we know that that's a real issue. That is a real issue. And also what I have in mind is to start running some small group programs as well, because I think that there's benefits to be had there.
Yeah, I love that. And even the idea of a shorter course, 3 week for ADHD is perfect. We all know we
Exactly.
have a long attention span. So,
Exactly.
so perfect timing. And then the group offer is just amazing because I love the camaraderie that always comes with a group offer. So
Yeah.
just having people in a similar situation to you, obviously, that you can lean on and not obviously rely on the coach as well, which is a nice aspect to it, just building friendships all in the same kind of mindset moving forward.
Absolutely. And so when you are struggling, whether it's with sleep or fatigue or energy or whatever those things, it can feel quite lonely,
Yeah.
and it can feel like you're going through it alone, especially if you're looking around you and you're seeing other people who are just not necessarily seeming to present with the same challenges. So it can feel quite lonely.
Yeah.
So I've just, in that environment, it is, as you said, the camaraderie and being able to understand that you're not alone in this. And it's not just about me offering help, but actually bouncing off other people who are in similar situations.
Yeah, it's because even you said it yourself earlier on in the podcast, there's so many trends, so many drugs, there's so many tools that you can use to help you get to sleep, and everyone's got a different opinion. So every time you tell somebody, I don't know how to sleep, like I'm very bad at sleeping, they've all got their own opinion of what might help you get to sleep, whether it is a tea, whether
Mm. Yeah,
whether it's melatonin, whether it's taking the supplement. So everyone has their own form of what's helped for them. So it's just nice to have a group of people where you've tried everything, and this is what we're going to do together to get to what
exactly.
we need to move forward,
Exactly.
not just throwing ideas at a sink and saying this
Yeah,
is
it leads, there's information overload. Information is never the problem. And I'm not here, my job isn't to just provide more information. That is the least problematic element of any kind of sleep struggle, is getting information. I so often hear when people say, oh, I've tried everything. I've tried everything out there. I've tried absolutely everything. Nothing works. So it is about piecing that. And as I said at the beginning, it is about getting in a little bit deeper and understanding for you what's going to work for you.
yeah, really finding that root cause and then
Yeah.
running for the hills from that. And then Maryanne, where are you finding like the biggest challenge for yourself in taking that next step in the business and going to another level?
I suppose part of it is because again, it's about me, and I have a limited ability to be able to grow it to a certain point just myself, because there's only one of me. So I suppose that's the challenge. It's also, I think, breaking through the noise. There's a lot of noise out there in the well-being space, and sleep being part of that. We get thrown the next hack or the next piece of tech or whatever it is, and it takes over almost. So it's really, I suppose, the challenge is to be able to find my way through that noise,
Yeah,
that's a challenge, but
it
one we
is.
need to
And
keep doing.
it is. And it is about being consistent online. So as you say, just making sure that you get it time in, you're top of mind and that you're putting the right information out there because there's a lot of noise you've got to cut through within this space. So
Exactly.
the pressure is on, the challenge is there, and it's getting through
Pressure is on.
it. And Maryanne, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out to work with you, connect with you, and just check out all the amazing work that you're doing at the moment?
Thank you. It's been lovely chatting to you. My website, which is thesleepworks.co.uk, that's all one word, or I'm on LinkedIn and I'm posting quite a lot of stuff on LinkedIn as well. And do follow me on Instagram because I'm really trying to push that a little bit. I'm at maryanne.thesleepworks.
Beautiful. Maryanne.thesleepworks. Instagram is where we're going to go, people. No other options. But I love it. Beautiful. Thank you again for joining us. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please do not forget to go and follow Maryanne on Instagram. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Awesome.